This is Robert Kraft, and I'm your host on SNN Network, and we are a proud media sponsor for the upcoming Precious Metal Summit Beaver Creek, which is being held virtually this year. Joining me right now is Aneel Waraich from Steppe Gold Limited. It's a publicly traded company. The symbol is STGO on the TSX. Aneel, thank you for joining me today. How you doing?
Thanks, Robert. Thanks for having me. I'm doing well, thank you.
Very good, very good. I'm glad to hear that. So let's start with a very quick overview and history of Steppe, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. So for those who are new to the story, Steppe Gold listed in 2018 on the main board of the TSX. We raised $25 million, and over the last 2 years, we built our first mine that is now in production. So we're on track to produce 60,000 ounces over the next 12 months, and we're now expediting our feasibility study to expand to 150,000 ounces. So we're a current producer with lots of growth.
So we actually spoke at last year's Precious Metals Summit, so I'd love to get an update. What would you say are some of the corporate highlights of the last 12 months?
Yeah, great. So over the last 12 months, we completed the build of the mine. We commissioned it, water wet commissioned, and then we received, after inspections from the government, our final permit, which is the cyanide transport, storage, and usage permit. So we received that in December of last year. Roll around brand new year here, and obviously we have a global pandemic that may have put projects on ice, and it didn't slow us down. So come March, when winter thaw started, spring thaw started, we actually begun production. So we commenced production in April of this year. This is our startup and ramp up quarter of Q2 that just finished, and we managed to produce over 15,000 ounces in our first ever quarter, our startup and ramp up quarter, and we actually generated a net profit of over 10 million US as well. So we had a really strong start with bringing production online, not having any delays with the global pandemic. And that's where obviously having a local workforce is very important. When you can't get in and out of a country, if you have a team that's skilled on the ground, you don't have to rely on expats or any of that to bring production online. So we produced, we're now in our second quarter of production, and we're continuing to generate free cash flow and build up our war chest.
What would you say has been the number one question that you've been getting from investors? Let's say let's say since the beginning of the year.
Since the beginning of the year? Well, the beginning of the year is, will your production be delayed? Are you going to have some issues given the borders are closed with Mongolia? Mongolia is next to Russia and China, where obviously it started with a lot of cases in China, and now we have a lot of cases in Russia. But Mongolia has kept safe, so they're more concerned about has Mongolia being strategically located between Russia and China being severely impacted by COVID. And so luckily the government there took a very proactive stance earlier on this year and really nipped it in the butt. And that's closing all borders, restricting travel, and that luckily didn't impact our operations, nor did it really impact the country with many cases.
So then from what you can tell us, what would you say are the company's value catalysts for the rest of this year going into 2021?
Sure. So now that we're in production, we're actually generating our own free cash flow, which means that we're actually not at the mercy of the equity markets to raise any capital. So having no financing overhang is a pretty big deal. I forgot to mention that Eric Sprott also came into our stock in July and invested $15 million when we already had 10 million US in the bank. And so we're continuing to grow our cash in our balance sheet right to the end of the year. And what we're doing alongside that, obviously with production, is actually spending more money in exploration. So we have 3 drill rigs turning today on ATO and Mungu. Those drill results will start flowing the second half of September onwards, right to the end of the year, and then incorporated into a reserve and resource update on all 4 deposits now. So our previous technical report was based on 3 deposits, and now we're adding the brand new discovery deposit Mungu. So that's obviously going to be a significant milestone and catalyst for the company. And lastly, we'll be delivering the feasibility study on our expansion, our permanent expansion project to grow from 60 to 150,000 ounces. Will be delivered by the end of Q1 next year, and we'll start construction probably, in the summer of next year.
So for our audience to go and follow along on all the news coming out of Steppe, where can they go and get all that information?
Sure. Please visit us at our website at www.steppegold.com. That's STEPPE gold.com.
Perfect. Well, Aneel, thank you so much for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. Good luck. Stay safe. And I look forward to our next update.
That's great. Thanks, Robert.
Thank you. Again, my name is Robert Kraft. I'm your host on SNN Network, and we are the proud media sponsor for the upcoming Precious Metal Summit Beaver Creek being held virtually this year. Aneel will be there on behalf of Steppe Gold, and I thank you all for watching.